Thank you. We're coming a little bit close to the end, and as part of this process, Annie asked delegates to submit questions. I will take one more question from the floor, but we did get an interesting question via email, and that is, please pick an adjective to describe yourself and explain. I thought it was actually kind of fun. So, Daraka, let's start with you.
Nerdy. And I'll explain that it's that I always want to know everything about something. So, it wasn't enough for me to learn how my club worked and get involved in the party. I really felt this need to understand why, because one thing I agree with completely that Kimberly said is that this party isn't designed to be a grassroots activist organization. It was designed both by voters and by politicians to be as weak as it possibly can, because unfortunately we have a long tradition in California going all the way back, here I go again as a nerd, going all the way back to the progressive era of trying to punish political parties when we think there's something wrong with parties. The top two primary, silly top two primary system being the most recent example. So I like to know exactly how things work. What's their history? How did, and I'm trained as a sociologist especially, so I don't take for granted any status quo. I always want to get underneath it and know how did we get here? Because to me, that's the first step of undoing it, of moving forward, of changing it, of reforming it, is understanding how we got here. So I'm a big nerd, that's who I am, and that's how I act.
Thank you. Kimberly, adjective?
Yeah, I would say probably the nickname that I earned the last time around, and that is feather ruffler. We were the campaign that talked about the things that people dare not talk about, like reforming Proposition 13, like repealing Costa-Hawkins, like holding our elected officials accountable to the people, like doing away with automatic endorsements of incumbents, like investing not in mail and in TV ads, but instead investing money in community organizers who would organize all over the state of California, not a couple months before an election, but 365 days out of the year, being willing to roll up their sleeves and meet people where they're at the farmer's market, in their community, on the doorstep, around issues that impact their everyday life. So feather ruffler, because sometimes or oftentimes we need the feathers to be ruffled a little bit, to get the cobwebs out, to remind us of who we are, what we're about, and what we're doing this for. And so I will continue to ruffle feathers because I understand, and my definition of politics is using all of the money, influence, and heft to do good and to help others. We should be doing that in the name of our Democratic Party, and so I will continue to remind our elected officials that this is, at the end of the day, about people and our planet.